Back Road Ministry, the world premiere. Mr. Mockty coming at you live and direct from the Dodge Ram Studios. Um, Giving praise to God today, or whatever your higher power is. Always give the praises to your higher power. Beautiful Wednesday here on the Verrazano Bridge. Beautiful view of the Hudson leading into the Atlantic. You know, there are some beautiful things in the world if we take time to appreciate them. And a lot of times we really don't. So I really wanted to talk about the Tupac and Biggie show that's on USA. Don't watch the show. I think I caught it a couple of times, a couple of scenes here, seen that one episode. My wife watches it. You know, women watch strange things. I never was too, too engrossed in it. This thing of they're going to tell you the truth. The elite are never going to tell you the truth. That's rule number one, especially in incidents like that. You never really find out the truth. They'll tell you what they want you to know, what they want you to hear, and what they want you to see as the truth. The problem is, if that you're not woke, you're going to eat that truth up, and then we have agendas, the beginning of agendas. So what is the agenda here for the elite for having a show like this on USA? Well, if you've really been watching kind of the landscapes of hip-hop, especially out here in New York, the blood gang culture is the fad. And I'm going to call it a fad, and I'm going to call it a fad for a reason. Because, blood gang culture is not a culture that was, pretty much bred in New York. That's a LA thing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them cats grew up that way, generations and generations inside the blood gang. But, gang banging in New York is kind of a fad, in my opinion. You got folks walking around with Chicago Bulls hats on. I ask them, are they from Chicago? They laugh like, the Bulls got something to do with Bloods. I'm from Chicago, we don't wear no goddamn hats with a symbol on it to represent what gang you're in. You break it to the left, you break it to the right, earrings in certain sides of your ear. Unless you know what the sign is, you're not gonna know what gang the person is. Some motherfuckers don't do none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't put on no colors, you are what you are. You know what I'm saying? So unless you ask me, you ain't gonna know shit. It's kinda like California. You got the dudes that, California's a color thing, separated by blocks and areas, just like Chicago. New York, more so fad, in my opinion. Everybody's pretty much the same gang. You got some Crips around here, but it ain't LA, man. They ain't living like that. They ain't living like Chicago. They're not living like that. They don't have to live like that. And honestly, they don't want to live like that. You know what I'm saying? I was born and raised in Chicago. You don't want to live like that. But these young kids, you really ain't got to go through it. Because, everywhere you go might be a blood. Or you might have some LKs in this little pocket over here. Chicago, you gotta watch every fucking place you go, because you don't know what set is what. And even in your own set, a lot of set tripping goes on. You can have, 20 to 30 different affiliations of Vice Lords alone, 20 to 30 different affiliations of Gangster Disciple. Then you got your Spanish gang, the LK, the Spanish Cobra, Latino folk. You don't know who and what they doing. Peace Stones, you don't know what the fuck going on every time. So, that's gang banging with caution. You got to be cautious out there. Out here, it's more like a fad. You got Cardi B and Tech 9, Takeshi 6ix9ine, 142, talking about he a blood, but he can't get on the stage to perform because he's scared and shit. With rainbows on, talking about I'm a blood and shit. That nigga go to Cali, they'll take his ass out, man. He get beat down by his own set. So, now it's kind of this fad. But I talked about the agenda of the elite, and they got a hip-hop agenda. All in means of trying to start the military state, trying to get the police state started. So what's the easy way to get it started? Gang violence. If we can get it started in Chicago, or try to get it started in Chicago, what they were trying to do with all the murders, people getting killed in Chicago when I was there. It wasn't front page news every 5 and 10 minutes. And then in New York, now let's get the Bloods and the Crips in New York fight. Or the Bloods and Crips in LA fighting the Bloods and Crips in New York. East Coast, West Coast war for real, which is going to count some bodies. Because these boys in New York ain't ready for that shit. Their idea of pulling in work is a motherfucker going to train and slash somebody with a razor and shit. That ain't no Cali gangbang. Cali gangbang put in work, put you in the body bag. So, you know, you got kind of a thing that, you know, these young folks don't understand, yet they're trying to imitate. Yet they think it's cool to do. And you go ask some dudes in Cali, them dudes don't want to do that shit. A lot of them grew up in that bullshit. A lot of them have spent a lifetime trying to get out of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Once you in, you in, but, you know, they've been really struggling to change their life and kind of bring and mentor some of the young guys up, because, you know, motherfuckers getting killed. Motherfuckers still dying out there. And, you know, they're really taking it as their responsibility to kind of try to raise up the youth out there. Kendrick Lamar's blood. But you rarely hear Kendrick glorifying that shit. He's not going to glorify it. Now, he know he can't get out. He's in. But Kendrick doesn't glorify that life. That was something he did. Something that, you know, he did some things he wasn't proud of, and he talks about some of that stuff. But, you know, we're in the atmosphere now where we got a lot of little bitch-ass motherfuckers glorifying something that they don't know anything about, glorifying something that they're not really to even really get involved with like that. And the agenda for the elite is to push this. Yeah, y'all can be Bloods and wear the red, and y'all can be Crips and wear the blue. That's the thing to do. You know, drop out of school. Got rappers talking about I dropped out of school, now I'm dumb rich. You know, telling them, drop out of school, do drugs, come on in, you know. Let's take it back to 86, 87. Because they really don't give a fuck about our kids. Because they know half of us don't. That's the issue. Half of us do not care about our kids. Some of these kids are just out there. Mom and daddy don't really exist. Mama working, she can't keep an eye on the kids all the time. And if she ain't working, she don't really give a fuck, because she had them when she was 14 and 15. So we really got these millennials, a lot of them are just fucking lost. They want things too fucking fast. They want it real quick. They're not willing to work. They're not willing to really sacrifice for anything positive. They're not willing to even ask a question. I went to a funeral service. You got the choir directors there, the musicians. Young man, got to be about 25, was singing a popular song that every fucking choir director can play. Any musician in the choir, if your organist and pianist is real deal, he can play that shit. This motherfucker gonna tell the choir, the funeral, oh, shut it off. Y'all don't play, y'all don't know what I'm about to sing. Just insulted the people because they don't like to communicate. They do not like to communicate. They don't like to ask questions, these millennials. They know it all. And when you got an easily manipulated generation like this, you know it's easy to get at them. That's why technology, they easy to get at them with technology. Y'all don't need to talk to each other. Let's just text all day. Don't call them on the phone. Don't go over to the house. Just text them. You can be right there in the house. I call you, you won't pick up the phone. I text you, you go to text. That's how brainwashed they are. So it's easy to brainwash this generation. So now we got this blood Crip agenda. That's what it is. It's a blood Crip agenda, and they're trying to get it fueled. They're trying to get it fueled. They're using weak ass motherfuckers like Takeshi 619, little bitch ass motherfucker talking about he a blood. Motherfucker get his ass whooped by his own fucking set. This nigga's not no fucking blood. You got Cardi B, she gonna get up there calling out Crips. Stupid shit that a lot of motherfuckers have been trying to get away from a long period of time. And now it's cool to glorify that. And you got these handlers, these elite puppets, these handlers of these people telling them, okay, say this, I'll pay you. Yeah, tell them you're blood, I pay you. Lil Wayne did old bitch shit. Lil Wayne know that soldier rag representation, New Orleans, had nothing to do with no gang. It was about your fucking ward. He know that shit. That new character, he know that shit. But then he gets on that time, I'm a blood. Get the fuck out of here. You just don't say some shit just to be saying it when you ain't never put in no work. I come from a neighborhood full of vice lords. I'm not gonna get on here and say I'm a vice lord, because I'm not. I never joined the vice lords. My family members are vice lords, but I'm not. I never took no oaths. I never put in no fucking work, because I already knew what time it was if I took that route. I didn't want to take that route, so I stayed the fuck away from it. That shit was just on my block and in my family. I ain't want to have nothing to do with it. So I'm not gonna rep and say, yeah, I'm a vice lord, you know, shit, yeah, like it's the end thing to do. Cause I know what time that shit is. I know what the fuck you gotta do to be a part of that shit. I know what time it is. But these young folks, they get them caught in the agenda because with them it's a fad, with them it sounds cool. They're very easily manipulated because they got nobody at the house slapping the shit out of them. I ain't joining no gang. My father told me straight up, I'll throw your little punk ass off the roof. Either you fuck with the gang and they fuck you up, or you fuck with me and I fuck you up. But I'm gonna kill you if I fuck you up. That was enough. When Pop said that, that was the end of my gang banging. I ain't even think about it. I ain't even think about it. Wasn't even no thought for me because I ain't want to get fucked up by my father. So I stayed away from that shit because I had a parent in my household that wasn't going to tolerate that bullshit. He knew how it was. He never did that shit. My uncle, he did that shit. My brothers, they did that shit. They came up in a time when my family had fell the fuck apart. So it was nothing that holding the family together. So, you know, the agenda of the elite, especially with hip-hop now, is push this gang war. And this Tupac Biggie thing is the way, in my opinion, that they trying to get it started. Mr. Moxley, this is part 1 of a 2-part video on the Tupac Biggie Blood Crip agenda.